learned a lot during my trip to Sacramento to get this information for you. We might be saving money by paying for one less day of work for a state employee, but we're paying for it on the back end because workers told me the Furlough Friday means one extra day of vacation they potentially don't have to use. They put those days into a sort of little piggy bank of unused sick and vacation days and cash it out when they leave.
I've been saving all my vacation time and sick time, and it's just because of the Furlough Fridays.
If you talk to the governor's office, they'll tell you Furlough Fridays are expected to save $1.4 billion and say to date they've already saved you $1.2 billion. But this short-term savings is masking your long-term spending on vacation payouts.
Many employees have used those 3-day weekends as a sort of vacation plan, if you will.
You get other things that are taken care of, and the time just isn't really needed right now. So, so I'm saving mine, and it's the way I have my lifestyle right now.
Employees who are saving up vacation time because they've been using furlough hours instead will resume using their vacation time when the furlough program ends this June.
Or so Linnell Jolly with the Department of Personnel hopes, because last year alone, close to $200 million was paid out to workers who left state service.
Some of those are leaving with larger vacation balances than we would like to see.
The California Taxpayers Association's latest report on state waste shows one example of a prison doctor who accumulated 4 years of unused vacation time in only 10 years on the job. The state had to pay him $815,000 when he left.
We don't want employees to save up their vacation hours as some sort of retirement nest egg.
But that's exactly what's happening, and it seems as a state employee you learn early on it's the cool thing to do.
I've heard, I'm a pretty new employee with the state, so I've heard that you can cash it out at the time of your retirement, so definitely.
That's kind of enticing.
Yes.
And how could it not be? Jolly says there is a 640-hour cap for vacation time. That's 80 days. According to Salary.com, most companies in America let employees carry over 40 hours or 5 unused days. In fact, Jolly blames the baby boomer generation for racking up decades of vacation and sick pay, setting a standard for running up the tab on a retirement payout that's now catching up to the state. And in the end, taxpayers will have to deal with it.
Many years ago, this problem started, and we've tried to address it in more recent years, but it will take time to whittle those vacation balances down to where they need to be.
And that is the final problem. There really is no recourse for those department managers who don't pay attention to the cap and give payouts to their employees who consistently exceed that 640 hours.
We're working to enforce the cap that currently exists.
Jolly says without a policy change and no real punishment, the only thing she has left to do is encourage people to take a day off and take the kids to the beach. And the real tragedy is you're footing the bill.
It makes it more critical now for us to start making sure departments manage those leave balances because we want them under control before employees retire.
One more note, all state workers are given that 640-hour cap mentioned in the story, but CHP officers, they have a vacation cap of 816 hours. Brooke Holmquist, your Central Coast News. Beside their salaries, which we know is at $95,291, you have to also factor in the $142 per diem rate for each day during the legislative session, which equals out to about $35,000 a year. We're now at an average of about $130,000 per year per lawmaker. Plus, they also get money to buy a car to drive while in Sacramento. The state will either pay 90% of the monthly car lease or up to $400 a month, whichever is cheaper. And if they live far enough away, they even get a plane ticket to join the others in Capital City. And those that fly get a state-issued car not only while in Sacramento, but also in Southern California to drive for district business. While they will all tell you they're doing their part to cut back, some get a little queasy when I ask specifics. I got a tip that I just had to check out when I got to the Capitol. I found Santa Barbara Assemblyman Pedro Nava's office because I wanted to ask him how his $48,000 taxpayer-sponsored Toyota hybrid SUV drives. It made him so ill he couldn't talk to us.
No,
Not at all.
no, I have a stomach ache.
You look pretty good.
Can I just talk to him?
No, he said no, and he's running up to committee, so I think so.
Despite ultimately talking to his press secretary, Nava never chose to speak with us. Vehicles, though, aren't the only issue. Take a look. Shafter Senator Dean Flores near Bakersfield spent close to $1,000 of campaign funds at Williams-Sonoma on a coffee machine, espresso machine, wine glasses, and bottle openers he says were for a Democratic caucus reception. Senator Tony Strickland spent $2,000 for Lazy Boy furniture. A campaign spokesman said the furniture was for the senator's district office in Thousand Oaks. And then there are the Calderon brothers. Last Christmas, State Senator Ron Calderon from Montebello bought a $182 present for his brother Charles from Big Five Sporting Goods. He paid $100 to Starbucks for a present for his brother Tom, who is a consultant. The same day, Assemblyman Charles Calderon paid $400 for a Nordstrom gift card for Ron Calderon. Now you may be saying, who cares? They're all from Southern California. And that's right. But it's your money, whether it be taxes or campaign funds, that are footing their bills.
I believe that every legislator should lead by example, but when just a few of us do it, it doesn't send the right message to the overall capital on all of our budgets.
Senator Jeff Denham is one of only 3 people to not use a state car in all of the Senate, but use their personal vehicle. Senator Denham also doesn't take a state cell phone and doesn't get reimbursed for his personal cell. So you may be thinking, here he gets a pass. But he does travel from his home in Atwater to Sacramento almost every day and uses hotels in Sac and other areas of his district when he travels. Those things are a part of his gas and per diem allowances.
For instance, our per diem. We ought to get per diem for the living expenses, the same way that you do in the military when you're overseas.
What do you drive?
Prius. The car Assemblywoman Ana Caballero drives is a car you and I are paying for, but she stays at her Sacramento home during the week and her Salinas home on the weekends, saving on gas and lodging.
Do some members get more expensive cars than others? Yes. Do some members get bigger vehicles than others? Yes. Do they use more gas than others? Yes. No question about it.
Caballero put in perspective why our local lawmakers may be more vigilant about saving, saying our area is just too small to get away with any significant overspending.
It hurts. There's no question about it. I took a voluntary pay cut the beginning of last year.
And how much was that?
It was a 10% pay cut. So when the commission, and it's an independent commission, decided to make it 18% for salary and then some benefit cuts as well, I had to make some adjustments like everybody else.
Almost every legislator I spoke with in Sacramento told me about the pay cut they were voluntarily taking even before the 18%. That said, it seems they don't want to give up anymore. On June 16th, the California Citizen Compensation Commission, who has the authority to regulate legislator salaries, will meet. They are expected to vote on cutting per diem and car allowance. When legislators caught wind of this, they challenged the group's right to cut those perks. The Attorney General, though, says, yes, they do. In the meantime, when you ask legislators about the state's budget issues, they are quick to shift the blame.
We're trying to change the business as usual, and we're trying to put some real structure to a process that hasn't had a lot of structure in the past.
But do you think the legislators also need to change business as usual?
Oh, there's no question about it, and that's one of the things that we're looking at, is what are the things we need to do that change how we do business and make us more accountable as well.
We'll let you know that decision on June 16th, but in the meantime, think about this. When you combine the salary and per diem rates, most California legislators make $130,000 per year. What do you make? Brooke Holmquist, your Central Coast News. You know, a lot of people need to drive this bridge every single day, but for a lot of other taxpayers, you're wasting billions of dollars on something you may never even see. Hi, how much? How much is the billion-dollar question these days? A CalTax report shows in the last 10 years, you have spent $18.9 billion on government waste in the state. Fixing the Bay Bridge tops the list.
The biggest ticket item in our report is $3.2 billion in cost overruns just for the Bay Bridge.
It's 8 miles of steel and concrete. It carries 270,000 vehicles per day, making it the 3rd most traveled bridge in the country. So, most will agree that a little safety TLC is needed. And it's true, the Bay Bridge is going through a major retrofit, top of the line in earthquake safety.
This has been defined as a lifeline structure. That means this bridge has to withstand a major earthquake, and not only withstand the major earthquake, it has to be available for use for emergency services fairly shortly after that event. We don't do that with a lot of bridges because it costs a lot of money to design to that standard.
They needed to redo it for safety reasons, but anything other than that, no, I'm not fine with it.
But there is a lot more than safety upgrades happening to the bridge. It's also getting a facelift. Unlike its famous golden counterpart, the Bay Bridge has become infamous. And it's all because of a political war that's been raging since the '89 earthquake.
It was more of a argument over whether the bridge should be just a functional bridge to get people from point A to point B, or if it should be a landmark bridge, to attract tourists and things like the Golden Gate.
And political vanity is costing you a lot more money. Initial plans to rebuild the bridge were scrapped because at the time, Oakland Mayor Jerry Brown and San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown fought about the design. Jerry Brown wanted to make the bridge a landmark gateway to the East Bay, while Willie Brown was interested in the city's stake in the land affected by the replacement structure.
Well, they argued over it for quite some time and they went with the more expensive version.
And while politicians were busy fighting, costs kept rising.
The bridge costs what it costs, and time is money.
As you delay the building, labor starts costing more, the price of steel increased, the transportation costs for shipping things to the site to build the bridge, all that increased.
While Caltax claims that fighting over the fancier structure is a problem, they also cited a 2004 state audit criticizing Caltrans mismanagement as a bigger one.
But other countries have built bridges in the time that this has still been in the planning stages, and big landmark bridges.
But Tony Anziano, the toll bridge project manager for Caltrans, says he feels like the referee.
This is a huge project, so it gets a lot of attention. It can be a political football. That's a very, very difficult thing to manage. This is a world-class project that's being watched around the globe.
And that just may be the reason you're footing the bill for so much more. And hold on to your hats, folks, because the toll charge is going up again. Effective July 1st, during the busiest commute times, the toll will be $6. All other times during the week, it will be $4, and weekends all day is $5. Now, every other state-owned bridge in the Bay Area is $5 a day, every day. Brooke Holmquist, your Central Coast News.